must say that my mind was drifting over as Ian was playing. I was thinking about you as being 14 or 15 years old in the original church there on the circle. And we were in fellowship one day, and someone was playing piano, and I said, "Who is that?" And I said, "That's my son. He's in there playing on the piano. Is that okay?" "Yeah, it's okay." And I went in there. Here's this little guy with his hat, baseball cap sideways on his head, you know, and playing away. Long, skinny guy, young, 14, 15, something like that. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for staying, expressing your talent and continuing with it. That's great. Okay, this is about the 17th or 18th day of the Lenten season. And we call it Lent because it's tied to the word relent. We think of that. We think of relenting something, giving something up. And so that has always traditionally been the way people thought of the Lent season. It's the days coming up to Easter, the 40 days before Easter. This usually is a time when people give up something in their life that they really, truly are sort of attached to. Although some people cheat and they give up things like kumquats and chocolate-covered raisins and things that aren't really super necessary in their life. But other people give up things that are very important. But the whole idea of relenting or Lent is viewed differently in Unity. The way we view it is based on a book by Charles Fillmore called Keep a True Lent. In his idea of it, this is a state of consciousness. Lent is a state of consciousness where we deny or we let go of and release things that no longer serve us or that have been holding us back in some way. So it takes a lot of inner reflection to be able to figure out what those things are. It's a time when we actually go deep within. That's why I called the name of this talk, Cleaning Out the Lent Filter. Again, because last year, I think it was, I talked about cleaning the Lent filter. Well, this is something that you can't do once and that's it, any more than you can clean out the Lent filter in your dryer, your electric dryer, and that's it. You know, I found that out to be very strange when I first got married the first time. I was 18 years old, went to the grocery store, cashed my paycheck and went to the grocery store and bought the groceries for the week. And I thought I guess somewhere in my mind, I thought I was buying the only grocery shopping I would ever do in my whole life or something. Because when the food was all gone and next week I had to buy it again, I was shocked. I was shocked that there are certain things that have to continually being done all the time. Well, cleaning out the Lent filter in your mind is very similar to that. Something that has to be done on a rather regular basis. And it's totally up to us as to when that occurs and when we do it. I have used the analogy before of the conscious mind and the link to the subconscious mind as being like a well that has been neglected. You've heard me talk about that before. It's got brush down in there and things, dirt and dust and so forth that has fallen down inside it. And it's up to us to go down in that well. In other words, go into our subconscious, clean it out, remove those things which are blocks and impediments to us, things that no longer serve. And we get those out of the way in order to be able to go down and get that deep, deep, rich, pure water of life, which then brings us health and understanding and mental health and wellness of being and so forth. And that awakens in us happiness and joy. And we begin to have gratitude in our lives once again. Well, this is a similar analogy in that cleaning out the lint in our minds is very, very similar. Rather than doing it to get out all the big stuff that's pretty obvious that's in the way, big rocks that fell out of the side and so forth, get those out of the way, those larger impediments to our growth and to our well-being. Things like traumas that have occurred in our lives, ideas that we've held for years and years that really weren't ours, they were somebody else's who implanted these ideas and these beliefs in us. Rather than allow those things to be there, we've done that work pretty much, let's say. And we've taken care of all those sort of things. But the Lent is like little tiny things that build up over time, and they do two things. They stop the dryer, they stop that which is getting us ready to go, getting us ready to be out there in the world, the persona that we wear. Rather than doing it in an efficient manner, the Lent causes our brains and our consciousness to not work at full capacity because it's being blocked. There's a blockage that needs to be removed. So removing the Lent, using that time of Lent from our mind, allows us to remove those things which are infinitesimally small things in our lives. Ideas that we're not even aware that we're hanging on to. Thoughts that we have that we think are just passing, that are of no consequence to us whatsoever, but they get caught up in our consciousness until after a while, the efficiency of the way our life and our mind and our consciousness works is impeded. Now, the other reason we clean the lint filter in our dryer is because it's a hazard. It's a hazard. It can cause fire within this from the heat that builds up. Well, we all have these moments of heat in our lives. It all comes. And it can explode at some point in our lives and erupt into a situation or an action that we take that is detrimental to our well-being and to our understanding of how life works and how we want to be seen in the world. That happens to each and every one of us if we don't spend the time of going within, pulling out that thing, and doing the work it takes to clean it out and toss those little tiny pieces of fabric, those little tiny pieces that we've been hanging on to and allowing to build up over time. And just like that grocery shopping that I did when I was a kid, cleaning the lint filter is the same way. It's an ongoing process, an ongoing process. It isn't something that you do once in your life and that's that. You know, neither is cleaning out the large things from the well of life, the spring of essence of life. That too needs to be looked at every once in a while, but not nearly as often as this small, infinitesimal things. What sort of things am I talking about here? I'm not talking about the large things, the resentments we've been holding on to forever, the beliefs that are there placed by others or that we allow ourselves to put there against ourselves, our feelings of unworthiness or our feelings of shame, whatever it might be. We're not getting down there to the bottom of that. We can clean those out, and then once they're out of the way, we can do this small work much easier. You know the story, I'm sure, of the professor who brings in the jar in the class and the rocks that go in there. You put the large ones in first, and then you pour the small ones all around it, and it falls into the crevices, and you get them all in there. The same thing happens when you're removing them. Do you remove the little ones first? No, you remove the large ones first. You get those out of the way, and then you dump out and clean out the small ones. It's a reverse action that goes on. This relenting or giving up or denying and setting aside things is very necessary for us to do the large work, and then after that's finished and we've done that, go back every once in a while and check and make sure that nothing else has fallen in and do the repairs that are necessary. But this everyday cleaning is every once in a while, and I mean maybe every time you go within, you're checking one more time. Is there anybody I haven't forgiven? Is there any memories that I've had that I'm still hanging on to? Are there any feelings I have that I wish I didn't have any longer? That are running like a program, running in the background of our consciousness that we're not aware that it's even on. How many of us have these sort of ideas and feelings going on within us? How many of us? I dare say all of us. All of us do. It's a very necessary thing for us to be on constant alert, constantly checking. That means that we have to go over there and pull the Lent filter out. How do we do that? We do that by going into prayer and meditation. Not something that we just do without thinking. If we did that, then we would just pull the Lent filter out, look at it, and put it right back. Instead, we pull it out, and then we take the action, the mental, the spiritual action that it takes within us to remove these things. You know, I have discovered in my own mind times and people that I had pretty much forgotten. Situations where I had done something that I had just sort of, that's not important. I'll just let that be back there. Suddenly in meditation or in prayer or in just a time of quiet in my own mind, somebody's face or an idea, a name will pop up. And I have to say to myself, oh, I did that person wrong. I said something to them that was really smart-aleck, or I said something to them that was derisive, or that I put them down in some way. Or something that happened that I didn't even realize was offensive. I now see it as being an offensive thing. And because I've become more fine-tuned, I hope, gained a little wisdom, I hope, and I realized that little nuance that I placed on that sentence when I was speaking to that person, that little joke I told at somebody else's expense was harmful. It was harmful. Maybe it's a person who has already passed from this plane. Maybe it's a person that I know I'll never meet again. Maybe it's a person that I've searched on Facebook, tried to find them so that I could ask for their forgiveness and to make amends to them, to no avail. Couldn't find them. How do I clean that out of my life? How do any of us clean these ideas out of our life? We do it as if the person is right there. Because they are. There's only one presence and one power. And so we go to this altar of our life. We go to the spiritual center of ourselves and we say, I'm sorry. Forgive me, and I forgive myself. And we let it go. We clean it out, toss it away. We allow it no longer to be an impediment to our happiness and our highest good. Why? Not only for ourselves, but for all those that we will come in contact with in future times and in the present right now. For us to be fully present, we must relent, let go of those things in our lives which are holding us back that we may not even be aware of. But if we spend the time to be in silence, spend the time being still, the Spirit will reveal to us that which is not the purest in our lives. We can let those things go. We can let them go completely. Now, life is life. Day by day things happen. We do have a human side to us. We still make mistakes. We still go on. And that's why we must clean this filter in our minds at every opportunity. To keep ourselves running as efficiently as possible and to eliminate the danger of flare-ups happening for each and every one of us. That's the way Unity views, and Charles Fillmore viewed Lent. A true Lent. A Lenten season where we go within in consciousness and we give up those things which no longer serve us, which aren't doing us or anyone else one bit of good. Take the time, if you will, during this season to remember these ideas, to go within, to spend some time in silence, to recognize very carefully that presence within yourself that is urging you, that is urging itself to come forth. What happens for each one of us in this condition is that we get to be better than we ever imagined we could be. And as we do, we clean that filter.